Hello and welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, hello, I'm so glad you've stopped by. My name is Kara and I talk about knitting at theknitmckinley.com. I started this YouTube channel so I could talk even more about yarn and offer yarn reviews. And today I am excited to be here with a yarn review of Lion Brand's Re-Spun Thick and Quick yarn. So if you are looking for the Re-Spun yarn, that is the worsted weight version. I do in fact have a yarn review of that as well. That is from a few weeks ago, and I will include a link in the description box below. Today is all about the thick and quick version. So first, let's talk about the specs of the yarn and the information the manufacturer gives us on the ball band. So Lion Brand has this labeled as part of their sustainable stitching line, and they start at the top with some information about reducing and reusing. They specify it's a recycled yarn here, and then at the bottom of the band they mention the global recycled standards that they have followed and met with this yarn product. The yarn itself is a recycled polyester, and it's also a paper band, so that is also going to be recyclable. This yarn is a super bulky. It's a really big ball. That's not actually a perspective trick. The yarn length is literally the size of my head. It's 12 ounces or 340 grams. Which works out to being 223 yards or 204 meters. So this is a super bulky that recommends a US 13 knitting needle, and it says your gauge would be 10 stitches and 24 rows on a 4-inch square. And if you're crocheting, it also recommends a size 13, which is also a 9mm, and it says you'll get 8 stitches and 10 rows to a 4-inch square. I assume that's in a single crochet. I actually do not crochet, sorry. So this yarn has some care instructions that I do just want to highlight, because a lot of your acrylic and polyester and man-made fibers are easier care. And while a lot of us knitters, we are used to and good at hand washing and laying our products flat to dry when we're finished with them, this does specify that it should be hand washed and laid flat to dry. So if you, like me, knit a lot for community and charity projects and you donate to places that require the yarn be easy care, meaning it needs to be machine washable and dryable, this is not going to be the yarn for that. So if you're looking for a yarn for donations or to give as part of a community or a charity project, that would be the only thing I would want to definitely flag for you, is that this is not a yarn that can be machine washed or dried. And having knit a couple hats with it, I think that that's right. I think that this is a yarn you're going to want to take gentle care with. I did end up buying 3 colors of it. I will say I think the palette is gorgeous. This is the Night Sky colorway. This is the Whipped Cream colorway, which I would say is a very natural or fisherman colorway in other lexicon, because Whipped Cream makes me think of a white or white, and this is definitely an off-white. And then I picked up the Wisteria colorway, and if you'll excuse the fact that this looks a little bit less tidy. The other 2 balls I haven't knit with yet. This ball I did knit with. This is the Wisteria colorway. It's a beautiful blush. So this yarn comes in a variety of really pretty colors. It retails for $9.99 on both Joann Fabrics website and on the Lion Brand website, but I will note that when I'm filming this in early September, Lion Brand is completely out of stock. Joann does have it in stock, and it happens to be on sale at Joann's. But if you're interested in this yarn, it does look like you can't actually buy it on Lion Brand's website right now. So this yarn is labeled as a thick and quick, and I will fully acknowledge that that made me think of the thick and quick yarn that Lion Brand offers in the Woolies. And so, that has a little thread on it. Sorry about that. So this is the Fisherman color in the Woolies. And just to contrast, this is $7.99 for 106 yards. It's a 20% wool, 80% acrylic blend. And compared to $9.99 for the Lion Brand Re-Spun yarn, you are getting a lot more yardage for your money. But I think that these yarns have really different purposes. And they're a really different knitting experience. One of the things I will note with the Lion Brand Re-Spun is that it is a shiny yarn. The polyester itself, and let me show you the 2 hats that I knit, does come across as really shiny when you knit with it. It's very pretty, but it is a shinier yarn. So this is the beacon hat pattern. The beacon hat is a freebie on my blog, as is the super simple, super bulky hat. I'll include links to both of those hats below. So just to contrast with Lion Brand's Woolies, this is the hat, the beacon hat knit with the Woolies, and this is the Re-Spun Thick and Quick. And I'm not sure, I have great sunlight. It's a beautiful day here in Rhode Island, but I'm not sure if you can quite see the shininess of the Re-Spun compared to the green of the Woolies. But that's okay. Take my word for it, it is slightly shinier. It's also a slicker yarn, and it's a little bit thinner than the Woolies. So I wanted to hold up a strand of the Night Sky in the Re-Spun to that strand of the Lion Brand Woolies so that I could show you. These are the two super bulky yarns. And if you look at them together, I'm not pulling them taut. They're both fuzzy, fluffy yarns. They're both twisted yarns. But I think you can see fairly well the Fisherman, the top one, which is the Woolies, which has 20% wool, 80% acrylic, compared to the Re-Spun and the bottom, which is a 100% recycled polyester. It is a little bit thinner. So these are both definitely super bulky yarns. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with the label. But the polyester yarn is a little bit thinner. So just something also to watch out for if you are looking to adapt a pattern that calls for Lion Brand Woolies to the Re-Spun. You'll definitely want to do a gauge swatch because you're going to get a much different gauge with the Re-Spun yarn. And I just want to make sure that that's something that you look out for. So when I worked with the Re-Spun, I actually knit the beacon hat first, which is in the wisteria colorway. And this hat feels great, but what I don't love, and I think you'd see it, is my cables are a bit fuzzy. And they're fuzzy to a point where I don't 100% love the look of it. So I was almost a little bit disappointed because I love the color, but I don't actually love the way the yarn cabled. Whereas if you look at my Re-Spun version, I have really good stitch definition there, and I absolutely love the way that that came out. I did say Woolies, right? This is the green's the Woolies. I hope I said that right. So the second thing I knit with it was a super simple, super bulky hat, and I'm just pulling a little bit of fuzz off of that. And I absolutely love the way this came out. And I love the way just the simple stockinette stitches look in this hat. So you can see it's got almost a subtle variegation to it. The fuzziness on the stockinette stitch doesn't bother me at all. And I really love this hat. I absolutely think that this is a great color. I think this is a great hat. I'm really excited about this one. So I'm so glad I gave this another chance because I came away from my beacon with the wisteria and I was like, oh, I don't know if I like that. Tried it out with my super simple, super bulky hat and was like, okay, that works. So what I would recommend if you're looking to knit a project with this is I would consider letting the yarn shine as sort of the hero of your piece. I would maybe do some simple color work or very simple stitches. I don't think I would do a lot of cabling because the yarn is really fuzzy. I also think it's going to be prone to pilling in the long term, but I've just knit this hat and frankly, it's still too warm in Rhode Island to wear wool hats, so I can't even pretend I've road tested this hat yet. The hat just exists. But if you're knitting something like stockinette stitch, simple color work, you'll still get a little bit of the fuzziness, but I really think that this is a really pretty, really soft yarn. It was also easy to work with. The balls didn't have any big knots or tangles or other issues in them. And the yarn wasn't splitty when I worked with it. And I will confess, I was worried about that. So let me hold up here. I'm gonna actually come closer. Let me hold up the end of this. So you can see, like, I can literally untwist this yarn and it untwists really easily. And so when I pulled this out and I started to work with it, I was thinking, oh no, I'm not gonna like this. It's too loose, it's too twisty. I'm gonna split this. You see, I was like, oh no, I'm going to split this. When actually knitting with it, and I knit on both my bamboo circular needles and my metals. I have a set of larger Addy tipped needles, which are metal. I had a really great knitting experience and no splitting at all. So don't let the look of the yarn throw you off in terms of splittiness. You won't experience splittiness, I don't think. That being said, it does look, let me hold that up, like it could just fall apart on you. But that wasn't the experience. So it was one of those things where what I saw on the ball was deceptive compared to my actual experience. So I think that this yarn is going to be really great for accessories and for bulky items like a nice blanket or like a lap robe. Also, with the price point being a little lower and a little more competitive, I think that you could probably knit a blanket out of this and be super thrilled with your results, and not have to absolutely break the bank as you might with some other bulky alternatives. I will say I don't think I would recommend this for things like chunky slipper socks or for sweaters because it's fuzzy, because it's polyester. Two things. When I wet blocked my blue hat, it took forever to dry, and I don't think that was just a function of the end of summer humidity. It was actually really pretty when I set this out to wet block. The polyester itself is just going to hold water like nobody's business. And I also think it's going to be prone to pilling with hard wear. So if you knit yourself a sweater, you're probably going to find your underarms start pilling after a wear or two. That being said, accessories, maybe some home decor like a blanket, this is a really fun yarn to try out. So I think that's all I have for this yarn. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm going to be bringing you more yarn reviews as we go through the fall. I hope that this was helpful. And if it was, or you have questions about the yarn, go ahead and drop a comment below and I'll come back and I'm happy to chat with anybody about this yarn. I think this was a really fun knitting experience. I would consider adding this to your collection, assuming Lion Brand gets more in stock. I would just make sure that you pick a project that is right for the care and texture of this yarn. Thanks and have a great day.